He built the railroads, moved the steel, mentored Carnegie, controlled America's bloodstream, Tom Scott. And then Rockefeller slit the veins. A pipeline, silent, endless, cut straight through his empire. His freight collapsed. His fortune vanished. His pride obliterated. He didn't die in bed. He died watching everything he built, stolen in silence. And Carnegie, he watched it all, helpless, furious, changed forever. The man behind it, Rockefeller, the ghost that would haunt him for life. So now, let's see how this war began. Who struck first, and why one man's fall lit the fuse for a war that would rewrite capitalism itself. Tom Scott, once the titan of the rails, the man who mentored Carnegie, who moved armies and industries, was brought to his knees. He had spent years building an empire of steel and steam, but what he couldn't see coming was oil flowing through Rockefeller's veins. When Rockefeller built his pipeline, it didn't just carry oil. It bled Scott dry. His railroad deals collapsed. Freight business vanished. Stockholders fled. His fortune, gone. His workers, laid off. His pride, shattered. And as debts mounted and silence replaced the roar of his trains, Tom Scott, broken and humiliated, fell sick. Not just in body, but in spirit. He died not from illness, but from invisible wounds. The kind that come when everything you gave your life to is stolen in silence. Now tell me, what do you think it does to a man to watch the only person he ever truly looked up to crushed like that? Because for Carnegie, Scott's death wasn't just a loss. It was a turning point, and the man behind it, Rockefeller, the ghost that would haunt him forever. Carnegie dropped his steel prices below profit. Why? Not to win customers, to bleed Rockefeller dry. And it worked, for a moment, until Rockefeller responded by buying every coal supplier Carnegie relied on, then tightening the noose. No press releases, no public feud, just a cold war, played by gods and shadows. Tell me, if someone was dismantling your empire piece by piece and never said your name, how would you fight back? Because these two, they weren't just businessmen anymore, they were predators, moving under the surface where no one could see the claws. Carnegie funded libraries, universities, concert halls. The world cheered. So Rockefeller answered, louder, richer, bolder. A university here, a hospital there. But behind the smiles, every donation was a calculated strike. And the press? Oh, they didn't just read it. They were part of it. Editorials praising one, quietly undermining the other. Stories leaked, images painted. The battle spilled into public perception. And who controls perception controls reality. So now I ask you, what's more terrifying? A war with guns? Or a war where you don't even know you're the target? Because by now, politicians were in their pockets. Laws were being bent like wire. Entire industries quietly redirected. No explosions, just absence. Carnegie's trains delayed. Rockefeller's shipments stalled. 1,000 tiny cuts, none fatal alone. But together, they rewrote American power. In this war, it wasn't cooling down. It was boiling just beneath the surface. So stay close. Rockefeller didn't need applause. He needed obedience, not from crowds, but from industries. He spoke in silence. He moved without warning, and by the time you realized he was in the room, he already owned the walls. That was his philosophy. Control everything, say nothing, show no weakness. Now stop for a second. What kind of man chooses silence as a weapon? Not the weak, the undeniably powerful. Carnegie? He was the opposite. He wanted to be seen. He craved competition. He believed steel should rise taller, faster, stronger, and that the man who built the most deserved the crown. But here's the twist. He didn't want to keep the crown. He wanted to give it back. Carnegie's gospel of wealth preached this: make your fortune, yes, but die without it. Return it to the people. Lift society. Leave your name in stone. And he did. Libraries, music halls, universities, monuments with one message: I gave more than I took. But don't let that halo fool you, because giving is its own kind of power. Rockefeller gave too, but with strings, hidden clauses, silent control stitched into every generous gesture. He didn't donate to be remembered. He donated to remain relevant. So I'll ask you, Which one would you rather be? The quiet king who pulled strings from the shadows, or the public hero who stood on stage with a dagger tucked behind his back? Because this wasn't just a clash of business. It was a war of ideologies, of identity, of how power should be held and how it should be used. And in the space between their beliefs, America was reshaped. One man whispered and bent the world. The other shouted and rebuilt it. But don't blink now, because coming next is the moment where their philosophies meet their consequences. And when the dust settles, only one legacy survives. Rockefeller didn't flinch, even when the U.S. government came crashing down on him. Sherman antitrust, Supreme Court, headlines screamed, Standard Oil broken up. But Rockefeller, he just smirked, because the truth, they didn't destroy his empire, they multiplied it. Standard Oil split into dozens of new companies. Guess what? He held stock in all of them. One empire shattered, a dozen more rose from the rubble. So let me ask you, if losing made you richer, did you really lose? Now look at Carnegie. He saw the storm coming. He stepped away before it hit. He sold everything, U.S. Steel, to J.P. Morgan, $480 million, the biggest deal the world had ever seen. For one breathless moment, Carnegie was the richest man alive. But what did he do next? He walked away, not to spend it, to give it away. Schools, libraries, peace efforts. His name etched into history, not as a tycoon, but as a redeemer. Now stop. Look at both men. One absorbed the fire and grew stronger. The other walked out of it willingly with a crown in hand. So who really won? Was it Rockefeller, the man who bent the system, broke the law, and still walked away richer than ever? Or was it Carnegie, who cashed out, stepped back, and spent his final years trying to heal the world he helped forge? Or maybe the real answer is darker, because both men changed America. They didn't just build companies, they rewrote capitalism, set the blueprint for every billionaire to come. They showed us what's possible and what it costs. Look around you, corporations that dominate industries, billionaires shaping elections, philanthropists with their names on every building. You think this is new? This was all written over a century ago by two men who never fought face to face, but changed the world with every silent move. So now you know. This world you live in, it wasn't built by presidents. It was engineered by men who never raised their voice, just their influence. They never fought in public. They never fired a shot. But they reshaped capitalism and rewired the future. And the game they played still runs underneath everything. If stories like this make you see the world differently, hit subscribe. Because we're not just telling history, we're exposing the blueprint behind power.